Hello, 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 and welcome to another live. My name is Carolee Moore. I am the founder and CEO of the Podcast Pitching Society, where we help experts, the real experts, find their ideal clients using other people's podcasts where they can tell strategic stories to land more qualified leads and obviously grow their visibility. Now, tonight, I really want to talk to you guys about something that I've actually had to check myself on because of the environment that we are currently being forced to live in, right? There's a lot of uncertainty happening right now. A lot of people are kind of freaking out, frankly. And as business owners, as people who are offering services, we are in between that because we are people, right? We are also in the middle of uncertainty. And then we're also service providers. We are the people that are serving others who are going through this. And so, in a lot of ways, we have to somehow find a way to operate from a different level than those who are just kind of freaking out. And so I really want to talk to you tonight. If you've been feeling like, hey, I really don't know what to do right now, this feels like it's a lot happening and there's a lot of negativity, and that might seep into how you're seeing your business, might seep into how you're seeing your life. And so this is a conversation that I'm having for myself and I'm having for you. Now, I want to know first and foremost who's in the room. So the first thing I want to know is if you're watching this live, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're watching this live. If you are watching the recording of this, meaning this has already happened, you missed it live, but you're watching it again, drop a 2 in the chat. If you are watching the recording, drop a 2 in the chat. It doesn't matter if you're watching this live or you're watching this as a repeat or just as a regular video. I am looking for engagement. I will be in the comments engaging with you. So if I ask you to engage, this is a conversation. I don't want to be sitting here kind of by myself. Okay. So at the end of the day, right, we cannot control what we cannot control. One of my favorite quotes from my coach, Ashley Kirkwood, is she always talks about controlling the controllables. And it's my favorite because I find myself as like a control freak. When things feel out of control, I lose control. Today is a perfect example for me where it just felt like a lot. It felt like too much. It felt like everything was just coming at me and I wasn't really sure how to kind of figure it out. And I'm really happy that I've developed systems that eventually, after kind of, being dramatic and having all the things and feeling all the emotions, I got down to the things that I know help me to get out of that. And so I want to kind of break down for you, if this is a place where you find yourself currently, to hopefully help you to do that. So the first thing I want to talk about that is very, very, very important is to be honest. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, right? We want to show up on social media. We want to show up on the internet, especially if you're a business owner, as a finished package, right? Where everything is perfect and we're always happy and business is always good and everything is always great. And oh my gosh, I am in bliss right now. Business is fantastic. I'm closing all of these deals. And here's the thing. That is not always the case. And I've heard over and over and over the last few weeks from clients, from business friends, from, different people, how much things have changed, how more difficult it is to close deals and for people to actually make decisions in this season. And so if you're showing up online, if you are attempting to serve other people and as service providers, that should be your first and number one priority, is to be a servant. The best way that you can do that is to be honest. And so the lessons that you're learning, the ways that in which you are changing and growing in your business, you can share that with your audience and kind of talk them through. Say, for instance, you're in operations. As we're kind of thinking through how to structure the back end of our business, when things get tight financially and revenue starts to kind of be a bit more, I guess, harder to come by, the back end has to get tight. You have to get your systems together to make sure that you're actually following up with leads a bit more intently, right? And nothing is falling through the cracks the way that it typically would if, all things are great and everything's flowing, everything's great. You really need to make sure that that's good. If you are an operations person in the middle of things that are uncertain right now, and you feel that uncertainty in your business, then you can speak to that same place, that same feeling that someone might be having right now. You can speak to them with that. As it relates to our business, I'm in the visibility business. I'm in the business of helping people to amplify their voices. I have to show up and say, hey, today I had this scheduled, right? I was supposed to go live and I didn't because I was not feeling it until I just decided to work until I did, work until I felt it. And it's late. I'm still doing it because this is the promise that I made to myself. And it also shows to me and it shows to my audience, hey, this person is showing up authentically themselves. You know what I mean? With like the drab cream background, no fancy nothing, right? And just talking because this is the real. The real is folks is crazy out here. Like things are nuts out here. There's a lot of uncertainty out here, and there are people making slower decisions or changing decisions that would be like an easy yes in another environment, changing that to a no because they're making decisions from a place of fear. And you have to speak to that, right? There's so many people that we have talked to that are prospects that are, on the line. And their biggest thing is being scared to invest because they don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. Here's the problem. And this is me being honest, right? I'm currently, right? I need to stop saying right. Y'all pray for me. If anybody can do like a tracker of how many times I say right in this whole recording and put it in the comments so that I can see it and you can shame me. I'm giving you permission to shame me right now. But for me, when it comes to kind of thinking about making decisions in environments like this, I believe firmly that it is situations like this where the environment is so unstable and so uncertain that they're going to be risk takers. The people who take the risk to go and put the investment in, the people who take the risk and say, hey, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, even though I'm not sure what's going to happen, right? This is scary, but I'm going to do it. Those are the folks that in a year, 2, 3, 4, we're going to see and be like, wow, I wish I were that. Not knowing that those people, what you're seeing now, they were formulated, like they were cultivated in times like these. Their fortitude, their discipline, the ways in which you see them operating, like all of those came from times where they had to make a decision. Were they going to be the ones to invest and say, okay, great, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is? Or they're going to back away and make scared decisions? And so I think about not just like where I want to be right now and what makes me comfortable right now, but I think about who I want to be in 5 years, in 3 years, in 2 years, even next year, and what it's going to take. Part of that is making decisions that make me uncomfortable and downright scare me, right? Another thing, being honest, is understanding that a part of it is accepting and acknowledging that failure is a part of the journey, right? Um, we are in a season where people are going to stop paying their bills. They're going to default on payments. Ask me how I know. Okay, that's happening, and it will happen because people are scared. People are losing opportunities. They're losing jobs. They're losing a lot, right? And there's a lot of trepidation for folks who may want and need, frankly, what you're offering, but won't make the decision because they're scared. And it is for you to be honest, not just to say, hey, I'm going through this, but be honest with them about the cost, not the cost of your product or your service, specifically your service, because I'm speaking to service-based businesses, not the cost of your service, but the cost of not investing in your service. What is the cost of you not investing in your visibility right now? The cost is in 2-3 years, when you think you're ready to invest, them same people that you're competing with right now, your peers are going to be light years ahead of you because they were bold enough and brave enough to make decisions from a place of abundance, from a place of, hey, not only do I know everything will work out, I have faith in myself, in my God, whatever you believe in, that everything is going to work out for me, right? That is the honest truth. It's just the truth. There are going to be millionaires made in the middle of the valley, and there are going to be people who stay destitute and broken. You get to choose. The next one is offer solutions. The worst thing you can do when times are uncertain is add to the uncertainty and just to kind of be a part of the noise. You are a service provider. You offer solutions. You offer a service. The worst thing you can do in uncertain times is be nervous or scared about putting yourself out there and letting people know what you offer. That means that this is not the time to do less. This is not the time to be like, oh, people are going through a lot. They're, whatever. I won't post as much. Oh, honey, no. Oh, honey, no. This is the time where people are desperate. They are looking. They are seeking. They're trying to find, with all of their beings, solutions that will help them not feel fill in the blank. Right? For us, it's definitely helping people as they're kind of recognizing the writing on the wall. If you're a 9-to-5 warrior, you're realizing your job is not safe, right? If you are someone who is in entrepreneurship and trying to kind of build out your business, you're recognizing that your competition is real. And it's often the loudest person that's in the proverbial room that gets the gigs, that gets the speaking engagements, that gets the deals, period. So if you're not found, if you're not able to be found, if you're hidden, frankly, you're just not going to be chosen. And if you're not chosen, then your business doesn't get money. And if your business doesn't get money, it doesn't exist. So, right, this is a huge part of it. You have to get more visible. You have to offer a solution. You cannot just add your voice to the nonsense and the noise. Having an opinion is great, but in addition to having your opinion, have something that will actually help people out of the situation that they're in. When we're thinking about uncertainty in this day and age, we have to kind of think through what makes sense and what doesn't when we're delivering our message to people, right? And one of the things that I'm going to actually talk about at our upcoming masterclass on August 20th is specifically how to deliver your messages when you're talking on a podcast in a way where it doesn't go over someone's head. It doesn't, again, add to the noise. It is this thing that cuts through the marrow. You stand on this side or you stand on that side. There is no lukewarmness, right? So your solutions should not be, it shouldn't feel like everyone else's. It shouldn't be presented in the way that everyone else's is presented, right? You, caught myself again. You should be giving gems that are specifically tied to your life, tied to your own case studies, tied to your own specific results, right? I'm gonna get it together, y'all. And so at the end of the day, that is going to be your secret sauce. And it is going to be the thing that people remember and connect to the most. Your solutions. And your solutions are unique because they're coming from you and they're backed by your experiences, which are also uniquely yours. And so we'll talk a lot about that and the kind of anatomy of your story on a podcast and how to seed that throughout the entire interview and bake it into expertise and your offer. So we call that your PowerPoint. We'll talk a lot about that actually during the event itself. Okay, and so the third thing that I want to talk about when it comes to showing up well when things are uncertain, especially as a service-based business provider, is to take imperfect action. I know we hear that a lot. And oftentimes we hear that from some talking head in this highly produced, beautiful background, makeup, all the, like, you hear it from people who clearly you're looking at like, okay, well, you're perfect right now. You're telling me to do it, messy, but you don't look messy to me. You look very polished. Matter of fact, here is someone with blank walls, you know what I mean? No makeup on, barely, you know what I mean? Just here telling you, do it imperfect. Make some form of an effort. Move. I just shared something on Facebook. It was a story that, and I'm going to retell it because I think it's really, really, really important, especially in this environment that we find ourselves in, right? It is about a can of Goya beans. I know it sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. So this person, this guy, is talking to his mentor and telling his mentor how overwhelmed he is and how much, he has to do it. Oh my God. And like all the things. And he's talking over the phone. And the mentor is like, go to the grocery store and pick up a can of Goya beans. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, just do it. Just do it. And so the guy goes to the store, gets in his car, drives to the store, picks up the can of Goya beans, takes a picture of the Goya beans and sends it back to his mentor and says, okay, did it. And the mentor writes back and is like, okay, now you got it. He's like, got what? He's like, the coach said, there are often times where we just completely overthink things. And the best thing that you can do in those moments is just move, is to go and do something. And he used the Goya beans as an acronym, which is get off your ass. And he's like, every time now you look at the can of Goya beans, whenever you feel overwhelmed, whenever you're going through the, process of feeling like, this is too much, I can't, all the things, you look at these beans and you get off your ass. So That would be number 3. Take imperfect action, aka Goya. And if you remember nothing else from tonight, you remember Goya. Matter of fact, if you made it this far in the video, I want you to drop Goya in the comments. Drop Goya in the comments if you made it this far, and if that's something that you're actually going to take with you, especially in this time where things can get overwhelming and there's always some news, some piece of news, some tragedy, something that's happening that becomes so heavy on us that we just aren't able to operate the way that we would normally. And we need that reminder of like, yo, it's really not about things being perfect or whatever the case is. Like, I've been in my head this whole week about content creation because we just hired someone to do that. And I'm just like ready to go and ready for things to be like this, like perfect thing. It's like, girl, it's the first week, chill, right? Like, relax. But at the same time, not allowing, okay, this thing is not perfect, so we can't put it out. No, get it out. Goya. Anyways, so bonus thing that I wanted to talk about, though, I want to make sure that y'all know is no lukewarm stances. And what do I mean by that? What's funny, super side note, to the side note, is I was on a podcast, I won't say recently, it's sometime. And I got into it with the host, not in like a disrespectful way, but we disagreed. Okay. And this is the point where we disagreed. My stance is right now in 2025 and beyond, frankly, there is no longer a desire for lukewarm stances. Whether you like it or not, the people that are cutting through all of the billions of pieces of content that is being created daily, the people that are cutting through that are taking a stand on either side of an issue. Or matter of fact, they're creating, you know what I mean, a really controversial thing that then people have to take sides on. Why does that cut through? Because we are very much black and white people. That's just what it is. And if it's lukewarm, we tend to kind of just like, it doesn't stick, right? It just doesn't stick. If someone says maybe, you're uncomfortable. If they say yes, you know definitively it's a yes. If they say no, you know definitively it's a no. And you can kind of work off of that. Anything in the middle is uncomfortable, and it doesn't actually cut through the same way that someone saying, hey, I don't believe in this thing, and here is why, and I stand by this thing 10 toes down, or I do believe in this thing, and here is why, and I stand on this thing 10 toes down. There is a reason why those people tend to cut through, because they will find their tribe. There is 100% probability that if you stand on a particular side of a topic and you put that out, you will find a bunch of people that agree with you 100% and a bunch of people who disagree with you 100%, right? It is what it is. And this is why a lot of times when things go viral, the reason it goes viral is not necessarily that it's like this like world changing thing. It's typically because it divides people. It's just what it is. And so when it comes to what you put out, say it with your whole chest. Say it with your whole chest. Whatever your opinion is, whatever your perspective is, wherever you land on a thing that is important in your industry, you say it with your whole chest. And that's not just when we're talking about being in uncertain times. I honestly talk about that with my clients as I'm prepping them to go on their podcasts and their podcast interviews. I'm always telling them, hey, and this is actually a question I ask. What is a thing that is in your industry right now? What is something that is impacting your industry right now that you have a extremely strong stance on, that you will plant your flag on to say, hey, this is what it is? One of our clients, she is a trader, right? And she talks about people just kind of coming in and they're trading because they use a particular product and they're not doing research. They're just kind of winging it on things that, maybe they heard somebody say something over here, or they use, like I said, they use the product or whatever. And she absolutely is vehemently against that and believes that you should actually, there are specific things that you need to know. The mechanics of it all that will make you a better trader is important. If she goes on a podcast and she goes with that perspective, she can really drive home the point, and it becomes clear that that's her, her thing that she's passionate about. And if someone's listening, right, and has done the thing that she's talking about, but is wanting to do better, is wanting to learn, trade better, don't you think that they would actually reach out to this person and be like, hey, you sound like you know what you're talking about. Let's connect. I would love to learn how to do this the right way, right? Because I've seen the light. Or I vehemently disagree with you, and here's why. Here's why. Either way, that is still an audience. And that is the whole point of this. Visibility is an audience. I think one of the things, I don't think, I know one of the things that people are scared of, and frankly, this is something that I had to kind of get over as well, for visibility, and even for this idea of like being contrarian, is having people not like you, or having people publicly say the opposite of whatever your opinion or your perspective is. Listen, it's going to happen. Matter of fact, it's probably already happening. And it's your cousin, your uncle, your auntie. How many times have you had opinions in your own family and folks did not agree with you in your family? That's your family. You got to live with them. You got to see them at Thanksgiving, Christmas, reunions. These are strangers on the internet. I'm not saying they don't matter. They're human beings. But in the grand scheme of things, really, it's not that deep. They don't matter to the large scope of your impact. They matter to the numbers of engagement, because no matter if the comment is positive or negative, honey, there's a comment. Thank you. Oh, anyways, for me, I really want to make sure, one, that I don't cheat myself out of what is already mine, what God has already put out for me. The only way that I don't get it is if I don't get it. And it's the same message for you, right? As we go through this crazy time, as tons of things are happening in government, in business, etc., that threatens to knock you off your square, you have to be committed to, one, being honest, two, making sure that you are offering solutions, and three, taking imperfect actions, or like we said, Goya, right? And I'm excited to see what happens in this year, because I am a firm believer that we're going to see a ton of millionaires being made, a ton of six-figure people being made, a ton of success. And at the same rate, you're going to see a ton of people just say, hey, this is not for me, which is totally fine, but you have to decide which one you want to be. I'm hosting a masterclass on August 20th, and it's called Your First Five-Figure Podcast Guest Feature, and is exactly what it sounds like. I want to actually show you how to use your voice. Our voice is powerful, right? And you really don't understand the power your voice has until you think about the history, especially if you're a person of color, the history of the voices of MLK, Malcolm X, right? It is what moves. People have started movements with just their voice. That is how powerful your voice is. You have something to say, but it does matter how you say it, right? And that's what I believe my superpower is. It's how people figure that out, take off all the gook, which is a lot of times just limiting beliefs, and help you to curate a message that will, as we talked about earlier, penetrate through all of the noise. So if you are ready to do that, if you are ready to penetrate, that sounds weird. If you are ready to get in front of and convert your ideal clients using other people's podcasts, you definitely don't want to miss this masterclass. And I don't care if you've been on 5011 podcasts already, because I know that's the whole thing of like, I don't need to go this. I'm already on podcast. Great. How many contracts have you actually landed by being on your podcast? This is why I called it your first 5-figure, right? Because not everyone can do that on their own without coaching, without understanding. And we have a framework because I've done it multiple times and I've coached my clients to do it. And so I want to do the same thing for you. So meet me in the Zoom. The link will be in the chat, in the comments in the chat. The link will be in the comments. And we will be there together having a good old time. Let me tell you, my master classes, it's kind of like a concert / church. We get a little ratchet, a little hood, and a little holy. It's all the things. So much fun. So hopefully you'll get to join us, and I'll see you there.